Man, this lens looks good, right? This is the Series 24mm f2.8 APS-C anamorphic lens that I'm using on my, it's a 1.33 squeeze, and it's being used on my Panasonic S5, the original. And today's topic, that sounds weird, right? Today's topic is, how long does it take to get monetized on YouTube as an artist? Because I don't know anything about people who are just studying the art of YouTube, but if you're trying to be on YouTube and you're also trying to be true to who you are, and you're trying to, I don't know, like practice your craft or work on your craft, or, you know, talk about the art of your, you know, like the creative practice that you do, I'm here to kind of give you some information based on what I've experienced, because I got monetized, and I think it's pretty well documented on this channel, at least, that it took me 5 years to get monetized. But I really got monetized in 1 year, really. Because when I seriously said to myself, you know what, I'm getting monetized right now, that's when it happened. And it took about 8 months, I would say, where I went from like 200 or 300 subscribers and 2,200 watch hours to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in like 8 months. So it was like 4 years and 4 months of almost nothing, and then 8 months of I did pretty well. But what's interesting is that once I got there, it kind of plateaued, it evened out. And actually, to be honest with you, there was one video in particular that kind of exploded compared to every other video that I had ever done, which was a video about monetization. And, you know, I was kind of complaining about it. And I noticed that when I complain a lot, that's when my videos did well, because YouTube loves people who like to complain about stuff, you know, people who have some kind of grievance over their experience, and they like to blame the algorithm or blame whatever they want to blame on not doing well. And I found that, you know, after I went through my period of doing all of that and complaining and thinking like, you know what, it's the algorithm, like I'm never going to be successful because it's targeted at people like me who are real artists and all that bullshit. Because anybody here is, you know, is worthy of being monetized, you know, is deserving of being monetized. I think anybody who picks up a camera and does anything, I'm not hating on you, you know, because YouTube is kind of like an open platform for anybody who's thinking about anything, who wants to talk about anything. It's like a kind of a wide open space. So I happen to be an artist. I happen to be a performing artist. You know, I do a lot of different things, but I'm mainly theater and filmmaking and a musician. And so at first I was thinking like, YouTube is just not, you know, like set up for people like me. You know, it's not artist friendly. You know, you don't come on here to promote your work. You don't come on here trying to get people to come to your shows. You don't come on here telling people how good you are, how great you are, and you don't do that, you know. You kind of use what you have to make these videos to contribute to people. And, you know, I'm also not somebody who's big on everything here has to be, you know, something really specific in terms of giving some kind of high level value to people. I don't think that. I think a lot of it is what's entertaining to people too, because I know in my case, the YouTubers that I tend to watch and tend to follow are people who I enjoy their personality. You know, I enjoy their filmmaking. In my case, I'm an artist. I like the way their videos look. I like what they talk about. It doesn't necessarily, you know, give me any kind of value in terms of helping me with my creative practice and what I do. It really doesn't. It's rare that it does that, because, you know, I work with directors and lighting designers and sound operators, and, you know, I have a community of people that I learn from all the time. I have learned a tremendous amount about cameras here, but only at the very beginning when I started to really pay attention to YouTube, because I was trying to learn how to use a camera. And I hadn't gone to film school, and the pandemic shut down my theater life, and I decided to make a movie, and so I had to learn how to use a camera. And I had to learn the ins and outs of filmmaking. And so in that case, I do owe a lot to the people in the camera space, the photographers and the filmmakers who do offer a tremendous amount of value. But, you know, once I did know what I was doing, and once I got settled with the camera that I really liked, and I started shooting, and, you know, now I'm 2 feature films, you know, later, I don't watch any of those videos anymore because I don't need them, you know. And the only people I continue to watch are the people whose personalities I like. And, you know, like, I have kind of a small interest in new technology and things like that. I am interested when a new camera comes out and I want to learn about what it does and what it's like. But I'm certainly not going to watch all the creators in an embargo talk about all the, you know, everything that a camera does over and over and over and over again. I'm only going to watch the people that I enjoy, you know. It's like a show, you know what I mean? Like, if you have a show that I like, I might not particularly care for the, you know, what you're talking about in that particular episode, but I like you, I like the character, you know, it's like any kind of film, you know. I'm more invested in character development and the arc of a story. And even if it's a story that I might not necessarily be that invested in or that interested in, if the characters are interesting, if the writing is good, and in the case of YouTube, if somebody's a good storyteller, because I don't think you have to be a writer at all. Like, I've never written a script for YouTube, and I'm a writer. That's what I do professionally. Like, I write screenplays, I write plays. I'm a playwright, you know, by trade. So, but I never write a script for YouTube. I'm always talking off the top of my head. So I think it's more, like I said, people's personality and their presentation, you know, how they go about their videos. Like, do they concentrate on their lights? Are they thinking about their composition? Like, I'm always out in a beautiful place. You know, I have a bridge behind me. The Hudson River's behind me. It's beautiful here. You can't make a bad video out here. You know, as long as you know how to expose, as long as your white balance is set correctly, as long as you're in focus. You know, I'm using manual focus lens, so I had to focus myself. As long as you have the fundamentals down, you know, if you like this type of presentation, if you like what I talk about, if you like the way I talk about things, you're going to be drawn to my channel. So anyway, back to my point. How long does it take? I think it takes time. And I think that there's no set time for anybody, but I do think that if you post often and if you're consistent, and in my case, I personally think you should post every day. I think you should approach, if you're an artist, I think you should approach YouTube as like a daily diary. Because for me, what I do is, I get up every day, I work out, right? I do my stretching and my strength work. I go out and get a run in. I do all my nutritional stuff. I have a good breakfast. I set up my food for the day. And then I'll always go out and shoot a YouTube video, either early in the morning or late at night before I go to bed. And I will post before I go to bed every day. But the thing is, I dedicate a couple of hours to YouTube, like anywhere from an hour and a half, you know, 90 minutes to 2 hours, because it's not going to be that extensive. I'm not trying to make a short film anymore. You know, every once in a while I might include a bunch of B-roll and make it look cool, but generally it's going to be a talking head video like this in a cool location with good composition and trying to look beautiful, you know, in terms of what you're looking at in the frame, not me looking beautiful, but I'm trying to have something that is nice to look at. And I'm dedicating two hours, maybe a little over 2 hours every day of my creative practice to YouTube. And I try to talk about something that's interesting to me. I'm not trying to just throw some bullshit out here. I'm trying to talk about something that I do feel is contributing and that I do think is interesting, and that may or may not have to do with what I do professionally, but it always has something to do with something creative and the arts. And then when I finish that video, I don't think about it for the rest of the day. You know, I don't think about it till late at night when I get on DaVinci Resolve and I'll edit it and upload it, because I can do that fast for a video like this. I do shoot in log, so I have to, you know, get it into the correct color space, but, you know, I don't do any crazy color grade. I don't approach it like I would a feature film. You know, I approach it where I want it to look normal. I want it to look good. So I do shoot in log because I want the most dynamic range that I could possibly have, because I do think like a filmmaker, but I could easily use a picture profile and not have to do any color grading at all as long as I expose properly. But even though I'm in log, I still try to expose the way I want it to look, so that I don't have to go much further than just putting it in the correct color space. And then I upload it and I'm done. So I shot it usually early, but sometimes I'll shoot it late and then, edit and upload it immediately. But either way, it's either on the front end of my day or the back end. And for those 2 hours or 2.5 hours, that's all I'm thinking about is YouTube, this video. I'm being present, respecting the platform. I'm respecting the audience. I'm not just like I said, throwing up some bullshit that I'm not thinking about, that I'm just taking for granted. I'm being as professional as I can because I'm a professional. That's the way I approach anything that I do. I'm always trying to do the best that I can. And so I think about it for those couple of hours, and then I don't think about it the rest of the day. And then I'm either working on my script, or I'm working on a shot list, or storyboarding, or I'm hustling around for money. I'm like living my life, and I'm always focused on where I am, and I'm always trying to be as present as possible. And so when you do that, if you're consistent, I think immediately you're going to start to see the way your channel is going to go. And it's not always going to go like that. Sometimes it's going to go like that, and then it's going to go like that, and then it's going to go like that. Like, it's going to go up and down. And you have to not get frustrated, because it's like anything in life. It's like working out. If you're a runner and you're training for a marathon, you're not going to feel your strongest every day. You're not going to be able to do your best every day. There are going to be some days where you feel slow, where you feel tired, you feel sluggish, and you have to work through those days, and you have to figure out how to do your best in those days. And it's the same thing with filmmaking, same thing with YouTube. It's like you're not always going to do your best, and you might even put up a video that you think was your best and it doesn't perform as well. And you can't try to figure it out. There is an algorithm involved, but also people are dynamic. Audience members are not always doing the same thing. You're not dealing with robots, and you're not a robot. So real life is dynamic. Real life is not the same every day. So it's going to be different, but the one thing that you can control is your consistency and your approach, and the way you attend to your work. And if you attend to your work with integrity, and you do the best that you could do every day, and if you have like no expectations in terms of what you're getting back, just be consistent with it, and look at it like, what, no matter what happens here, I'm going to have a great documentation of every day of my life. And everybody, look, everybody talks about like the artist's way and things like that, or just doing a daily diary. It's healthy for your life. So there's no real downside to doing this on YouTube. And the thing is, you have the possibility of it growing to the point where you're going to get monetized. And I will stick my neck out and say that if you're consistent, and if you continue to learn, and if you continue to grow, and if you continue to improve, you are going to get monetized. It just might take a long time. In my case, it took me 5 years. And I thought about it 5 years ago that I wanted to make money here, but it took the full 5 years for me to get here, and it took the last 8 months for me to kind of get something, and I realized that if I talk about YouTube and monetization and stuff like that, like I'm doing now, like this video is probably going to do pretty well. I don't know if it's going to get 13,000 views, but it'll get more than 200, maybe it'll get 400 or 500 views. But it doesn't mean that it's going to make me crazy money. What I got was that if I talk about stuff like this, my YouTube videos will probably do pretty well. But then I thought, I'm not willing to do that all the time. It's not who I am. It's not what I'm about. So I'm always going to try to contribute, but I'm always going to be true to myself. I'm not really trying to think about what you want or what the audience wants. I'm thinking about what's compelling to me, what's important to me, because I feel like if I'm being genuine, that's going to resonate with you. And then you're either going to like me or not. And that's the other thing you have to realize. Not everybody's going to like you, Some people are going to love you and think you're the greatest, and some people are going to think you suck. And the internet is a scary place, and you have to kind of accept that as well. Like, for example, I got a comment today from somebody who was like, left me this long, ridiculous comment about how, standing in front of your camera at night with beautiful lighting doesn't mean it's a movie. You suck. Like, and then, I got another comment saying, oh, Jesus, another video in 16:9. Can somebody please make a video in 4:3 or Cinema 4K or 2.39:1, or please, God, like I'm so tired of looking at these And then he wrote assholes. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, there are always going to be people who want to come on here and say something negative. They're going to be pejorative. They're going to judge you. You can't take it personally because it's got absolutely nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with you. And like I said, some people are going to like you and some people don't. When people don't like me, I just say get in line. There are plenty of people who don't. But then there are plenty of people who do, you know. I sell out most of my live shows. You know, people come watch my movies. I have an unbelievably good following that I'm grateful for. And so that's something that you have to deal with. It's not always going to be exactly what you want. It's not always going to be exactly the way you think it's going to go. But you have to like stay the course, believe in what you're doing, attend to it with integrity, attend to it with your best efforts, with the best of intentions, always trying to help, you know, like to contribute, like do what resonates with you, what's important for you, what compels you to make a video or whatever else you're doing. And I think good things will happen. You'll find your tribe, the people who appreciate you, and they'll stick around, and it's always going to grow because, you know, this is like the entire earth is watching this platform. And so you're going to find new people all the time, only if you're consistent, only if you stay here. If you go away and you disappear, then obviously nobody's going to find you. But if you stay here and you accept the fact that you might not have this, you know, fast ascension to, you know, becoming Marcus Brownlee or Gerald Undone or something like that, you'll be okay. And also, if you look at it as a spiritual practice, you know, as like a daily diary, as a way to document your life so that you can look back on where you were in certain phases of your life if you want to, or you're creating a legacy that you can leave behind if you have children, or if you become known to people and they want to look back after you're gone and see what you were thinking and what you were doing at certain points of your existence. There's just nothing negative to do on YouTube. There's really nothing negative. It's not a waste of your time unless you look at it as a waste of your time. It's nothing but positive. It's nothing but, you know, spiritually and tangibly fulfilling, because you're learning a lot too. You know, like, you just want to continue to grow. And you know what? If there are YouTubers that you enjoy, watch them and learn from them and try to get something out of that. And yeah, so it might take 6 months, it might take a year. I would say if you're diligent and if you're really consistent, and if you're continuing to grow, and if you're continuing to get better, if you just say the same all the time and just, it's not enough to just go out there every day and do stuff that you don't care about and don't get better all the time and just put up some bullshit. That's not going to be anything. But if you're genuine, if you're learning, it's like anything else in life, you know. Don't waste even 1 second of your life, because this is fleeting. We're all here for a short amount of time. Don't take any of it for granted. Take the opportunity to grow, to learn, to get better, to contribute. Like, take this as an opportunity, and you know what? I can guarantee you that you'll get a lot out of it, and I can maybe not guarantee you, but I can tell you that in my humble opinion, you will get monetized in divine time, as a friend of mine used to put it. Like, when it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen. But I feel like if you do it the right way, if you approach it with integrity, it's going to happen. It happened for me, and that's the way I did it. And it's happened for a lot of people. And the people that I follow, who I love, who I enjoy, they're people who continually up their game, in my opinion. They're always telling interesting stories. They're always investigating how to make it look better. They're learning more about filmmaking, because whether you like it or not, if you're on YouTube, you're a filmmaker. You're making films, you're making movies. So why not take the opportunity to learn to make them better with each step? So, all right, that's all I want to say. That's all the time I want to invest in this for today. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Please consider joining my Patreon, all of that. Go to my website. All my links in my description are affiliate links, so I do get a piece if you click on any of those links. If you're interested in the equipment that I use, the lenses, the cameras, the lights, the tripods, my little retractable plastic stool that you probably see on a lot of my videos, all of that. So that can hook me up. And yeah, so thanks so much and have a beautiful day. All right.